Hi everyone. We live on Facebook? Yes, we are. How's everyone doing? Oh, so foggy here. Hi Susie. Hi Rebecca. Super cold in Melbourne right now. It's so foggy you can barely see outside. So weird. Just about to go to bed. No worries. Hi Stacy. How you doing? Hi Matt. First question is, should I marry someone who's only vegan? Only vegan? You mean not an activist? It's up to you. Your values. If you want to be married to an activist, then you should find an activist. If you want to be married to a passive vegan, then you should do that. Hi, Caitlin. Stacey said it's always so weird to see you wearing hats and sweaters when I'm sweating. Lol. Oh, it's so cold. I wish I could show you how foggy it is. It's insane. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Hi, Jeanette. Hey, Laura. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Your video about the medication was really helpful. Thank you, Zara. I'm glad that you found the video helpful. Really appreciate you. Where do I live? I live in Melbourne, Australia. Hi, Rami. Is it Rami or Rami? Do you take or endorse Tylenol or Advil, which are tested on animals? I personally don't take any medication or painkiller. Say I just have a headache, I try to just deal with it a different way, unless I'm in so much pain that, because I have a history of passing out from pain, so it's just abdominal pain that I can get sometimes, and because I know that there is a risk that I will pass out, hit my head, whatever. If it's really, really bad to the point where I'm sweaty and I get dizzy, then I will take painkillers. I personally don't take Advil or Tylenol, and the reason is because they wouldn't help with my pain. But if I was to give someone advice, I would say the same thing. Try to avoid taking it unless you really, really have to. Good night to you in Germany. So excited for our first cube in Bristol after lockdown on the 25th. Awesome. So good. Will you talk about your calculation of how many animals we save by not eating them? It's very important for people. They don't think we are useful. Sure. Yeah, let's talk about that and then we'll start the workshop. Because I know I have mentioned that before, but I don't think I've ever really explained it. So when it comes to the number of animals that you can spare their lives on a vegan diet or when you're vegan, I have heard the stats that I think are very, very conservative. The numbers that I have heard is like 100 animals a year, 200 animals a year. And I just think that is super conservative. So let's talk about this first. We hear that people say you save 200 animals by going vegan, right? Let's start from that. So first of all, that is wrong because you don't save anyone by just going vegan. When you go vegan, you literally go to the supermarket and grab an oat milk or soy milk instead of grabbing a cow's milk. You're not saving that cow's life, if that makes sense. The only way that you would actually save animals is as if you broke into those places and you rescued an animal and you liberated them. That's when you actually save animals. So what we do as vegans is we spare their lives. So an animal in a slaughterhouse that would have otherwise be killed because of you, you're sparing their lives. Let me know if that doesn't make sense, and I'll explain it a bit more. So that's the first thing. Please don't say vegans save this many animals, because we don't do that. If you're an activist, yes, but we spare animals' lives by being vegan. So that's number one. And then the second thing is, when I want to explain this to people, I always say, think about what you were eating and using as a non-vegan. So let's look at like a regular non-vegan. What do they eat for breakfast? They maybe have eggs. They might even have 2 eggs, which could come from 2 different chickens. And then they might have some bacon on the side or ham. They might have some butter on their toast. And then they have a coffee or tea. They might have some cow's milk in there. What else? They might have a toast with cheese or butter again, or honey. They might have some Nutella or something that has milk in it. So that's a non-vegan's breakfast, roughly, right? So even within that one meal, even if they were just eating toast and egg, they might be eating eggs from 2 or 3 different chickens. So for each one of those chickens, not only you're supporting cruelty to that particular chicken, you're also responsible for the male chicks that are killed and the sisters, because then they become a slave to the same system. So you're so you're paying for all of that. If you're eating butter, you're obviously responsible for the cow that the butter comes from, their milk. You're also responsible for the babies of that particular cow. If they were male babies, they would be slaughtered. If they were girls, they would have the same destiny of as their mom. So again, you're responsible for them as well. So that's how I do my calculation. So even within that one meal, breakfast, it's more than one individual that non-vegans are responsible for their torture, for their rape, for their murder. So then move on to the next meal, having a morning snack. Again, it could be like a cheese toast. And then for lunch, they would have a steak sandwich with cheese in it again, or a salad with cheese in it. Or the dressing would have animal products in it. And then they'll have a piece of cake or a chocolate in the afternoon. Again, it's got dairy, it might have eggs. For night, they might have chicken, and there might be other animal products in there. So even just looking at what food non-vegans eat, see how many animals they're responsible for in one day. Plus, on top of that, that person is going to get dressed to go to work. They're going to wear shoes that are made of cow skin. They're going to grab their briefcase that is made of cow skin. They're going to wear perfume and makeup that is tested on animals or has animal ingredients in there. They might be cleaning their house with products that are tested on animals, and they might be taking supplements that have animal ingredients in them or are tested on animals. They might go and sit in their car, and the car has animal products all over it. What else? They might, on the weekend, they might go to a zoo and they might pay to get in. So they're paying for all of those animals to be tortured. So this is how I do my calculations. And based on that, and I think it's still very conservative, I would say that by going vegan, you spare the lives of at least 1,000 animals. At least. Because 1,000 is roughly 3 or 4 animals per day. And if you just think of what non-vegans eat, you've already covered that number of animals plus things that I just listed. So this is how I do my calculations, and I still believe it's very conservative. But I'm not willing to ever say only 100 or 200 animals I killed for one non-vegan per year. That's just ridiculous. So let me know, who was it that asked the question? Let me know if I answered that question for you clearly. If you want me to clarify anything, just let me know, and then we'll get started with the workshop. People are asking me why I'm in pain. I'm not in pain. I was just explaining in what circumstance I would be willing to take a painkiller. I'm not in pain. I'm good. No animals are saved until humans stop exploiting them. Yes. Hi, Mia. What's your opinion on synthetic leather, since it looks to other people the same as animal skin? I'm not against synthetic leather at all. The question or the point that we need to make here is why humans are making cow skin look like a product that looks nothing like cow skin. They treat it so heavily so that it doesn't look like someone's skin. So I don't think vegans should avoid wearing synthetic leather products at all. PU or whatever it's called. I think that's completely up to you as an individual if you want to do that or not. It doesn't mean that the argument is quite similar to vegans saying, why do did I say vegans? To non-vegans saying, why do vegans eat like fake ham and fake bacon, and why do you call it chicken? Well, actually, non-vegans are trying to make an animal look like food, because the final product doesn't look anything like an animal. So vegans do have the right to still call it bacon, because bacon is just a word, and to make that look exactly like what we remember from the animal product, and to make it taste like that. So I think that's quite similar. It does happen at the cube where the non-vegan thinks, oh, I got you. They point out at someone's boots and they're like, oh, but isn't that person wearing leather boots? No, actually it's PU. It's synthetic. So don't feel like you have to stop wearing synthetic leather stuff because of that. If you want to. If you don't want to for whatever reason, then it's your choice. Okay. Isaac said, my dad is now using Oatly Barista for his coffee instead of filthy cow's breast milk. Awesome. How good is Oatly? I love it. I mean, my favorite is Bonsai for coffee and stuff, but Oatly is pretty good too. I don't know if you guys have Bonsai. Bonsai, I think, is an Australian brand. I keep saying it every time, and everyone's like, what is Bonsai? But Oatly is international, so that's good. Everyone has access to it. I don't think Colgate is cruelty free. I've never heard that before. I don't know. I don't think so. All of these mainstream brands that we have heard of for so long, I feel like they're not cruelty free, because if they were, everyone would know about it, right? All right, let's get started with the workshop, because we've already spent 20 minutes on questions. Let's start the workshop, and then if there's time, I would be more than happy to answer your questions. Just quickly, I forgot to post this comment so that our Spanish speaking followers know what we're talking about, since I don't speak Spanish. Okay, before we get started, I'll quickly just talk about what we do for those that just joined us. So my name is Asad. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am the co-founder and director of AV. We started Anonymous for the Voiceless 4 years ago, roughly. AV is an animal rights organization that focuses on street outreach. What we do is we hold demonstrations where we show people footage from meat, dairy, and egg industries, and we have conversations with people about veganism, and we help them go vegan if they want to. We also do training for activists to help with their outreach, etc. And this workshop is one of those, training programs. The way that this workshop works is that I will ask questions and you guys will answer the questions. I'll read as many answers as I can, and then we'll move on to the next question. So the questions will be the most common arguments that we get from non-vegans. So if you haven't done one of these, please stick around. They're quite fun to do, and we've got about 90 minutes to go. So we'll try to cover as many questions as we can. And I believe this is the last one of these interactive workshops. After this, the live streams will go back to once a week, and we're just gonna have to do Q&A. So let's make this one a really, really good one. All right, and you guys feel free to help me with the questions that you struggle with as well. If there is something that you get asked and you don't know how to respond to, now it's the time we can explore it together. I think that we already have some questions in here, because we do have lots of non-vegans watching this live stream, which is amazing. Okay, let's see. All right, there you go. Let's work on Zara's question. How do you respond to someone that brings up God and they say they could be Muslim, Christian, or of any other religion, and they say, well, God said it's okay to kill and eat animals, so why are you asking me to stop eating them when God said it's okay? How do you respond to that, the religious people that you're outreaching? I thought in Australia 12 months a year is hot in summer. I wish. Gets very cold here in winter. So if you have questions that are not relevant to the workshop topic, you can keep them for the last bit of the workshop, and I'll be more than happy to respond. So anyone that just joined, the question that we're working on is, how do you respond to someone that brings up God to justify animal abuse? So they say, God said it's okay for me to kill animals. Why are you asking me to stop eating them? Okay, first response. Do you think this would be in slaughterhouse? I didn't get that. No religion mandates eating animals, so you can be vegan and religious. Oh, do you think slaughterhouses would exist in heaven? And the second point, no religion mandates eating animals, so you can be vegan and religious. Yes. The Garden of Eden was vegan. Shouldn't we try to emulate what life was like before sin? God is all about peace and anti-violence, so surely a slaughterhouse would go against those values. No God would condone the cruelty in farms and slaughterhouses. Beautiful. If God is all about peace, love, and compassion, then why would He make your food a sentient being? Yes. No slaughterhouses in heaven or the afterlife, and God wouldn't mandate violence. And it doesn't say anywhere in a holy book that you need to kill animals to be a good Muslim, Christian, etc. Yes. We were only given express permission to eat animals after the flood, when there would have been no plants to eat. That no longer applies, so we should eat His creatures. We shouldn't eat His creatures anymore. Beautiful. Really good responses. So again, the question is how to respond to someone that says, but God said it's okay to eat animals. I asked them if there are slaughterhouses in hell. In hell or in heaven, Mia? Nobody wants to go to hell. Compare God and the devil. Who would slaughter an animal? It wouldn't be God, would it? Yes. Remind them that no religion mandates eating animals. Nowhere in the Bible or the Quran of any religion mandates murdering and eating animals. Also, what kind of loving God want His animals to suffer and die? Stephen said, God isn't real as far as we are concerned. Okay, so that's the thing. When you're faced with this question, you got to take yourself out of it, out of the equation again, as we always try to, because you're speaking up on behalf of the animals, so you need to forget about your personal beliefs for that time. Regardless of whether you're religious or not, whether you believe in God or not, whether you're of the same religion as the person you're outreaching or not, you just got to respond as if you're acknowledging their beliefs, okay? By arguing with them about God, you're not going to help the conversation. So even if, let's say I don't actually believe in God, I'm just not of any religion. When somebody brings up, somebody's Christian and they bring up God, I should totally forget about my beliefs and I should say everything that you guys said. So do you think God, blah, blah, blah? Do you think slaughterhouses would exist in heaven? So you don't need to bring up your personal opinion or beliefs. Similar to anything else, like when people bring up abortion, you know, you may be for abortion, you may be against it, but that's besides the point because you don't have to bring it up. And not only you don't have to, you shouldn't bring it up because it's just distracting from the conversation. So just respond to their argument as if you acknowledge their points or their beliefs. God might place more value on human life than animal life, but why would He care more about your taste buds than animal life? Hey Laura, awesome to hear you've got your first cube. I think I missed your response. Oh yeah, if God says to eat animals, why did He make them so they feel fear, pain, and sadness? Do you think there is a slaughterhouse in heaven? Yes. Isaac said there would definitely be a slaughterhouse in hell. I know, like that's what it's about, right? There will be slaughterhouses for humans in hell, from what I've heard. All right, let's see if there were any responses on here. Okay, I just want to talk about, I don't think I have a moderator today, do I? If our social media is online, can you just let me know? So this is especially for our Instagram because we've got followers that have been following us just as of recently. And I like to talk about terms of engagement quickly. So I hate blocking people and I don't do that unless you're being oppressive and disrespectful to a certain group of people. Meaning, if you're making racist comments, sexist comments, if you're being homophobic, if you repeatedly insult our followers in the comment section, if you're repeatedly being disrespectful and aggressive, verbally aggressive towards anyone, that's the only time that I would be willing to block you. So to everyone that is just here for the workshop, please just ignore the trolls. Somebody who just drops a bacon emoji is not, like, come on, that person is not a serious threat. Why are we wasting our time with them? So let's just leave them alone. They can watch or they can get out of this live stream. It's their choice. But don't engage. Don't go back and forth with them. I think it's obvious, you can tell when someone is open, they want to have a conversation and it's going to be a productive conversation. If you recognize that, by all means, outreach the fuck out of them in the comment section. If not, just leave them alone, please. Just ignore them. And if they are being disrespectful, like I said, then I would have to block them. Good morning to those of you who just joined on Facebook. So the question that we're discussing at the moment is the God argument or the religion argument. If someone says, God said it's okay to eat animals, why are you asking me to stop, basically? So let me know if there are answers that I didn't get to read, or if you want to add to this question, and then we can move on. If you have any general questions that are not relevant to the topic of the workshop, just keep them for the end of the workshop, please. Stop being so lame, guys. Why? Okay. My arm is about to fall off. Come on, like literally all the relevant responses get buried on the millions of just silly emoji comments. Which God says that? I like that. Good morning, Paula. Or good night. I don't know what time it is for you. I missed your answer. Do you mind just commenting it again? Because they get buried on the... If God created those beings as well as us, then why are we killing them and taking away their babies and torturing them instead of letting them live freely like it used to be a long time ago? Alright, Isaac's ready for the next question. People are a little bit weird on there, I agree. Alright, so the question was, how do you respond to someone, oh my god, it's so foggy here. How do you respond to someone that says, God said it's okay, it says it in the Bible, it says it in the Quran, why are you asking me to stop eating animals because God said okay, it's okay, and my religion is okay with eating animals? I love all the answers, by the way. Everyone was perfect with their responses. There are many points we can make with this argument. So, some of you made a few points or one, but they were all really good answers. So I just want to go over them one more time and then move on to the next question. So one thing is, do you think, because we like asking questions rather than just making statements, right? So it's better to start with a question. Do you think slaughterhouses would exist in heaven? The reason why we ask this question is because every religious person wants to do the right thing so that they end up going to heaven. That's the whole idea, right? No religious person is doing it so they can go to hell, or it's not that they don't believe that they're going to go to heaven. Like, there is an afterlife. That's what they believe in. So we have to acknowledge that if we want to, have a productive conversation with them. So you say, do you think slaughterhouses would exist in heaven? They're probably, well, in my experience, everyone's kind of like, yeah, you're right. So let them just think. And then the next question, or the next point would be, no religion mandates eating animals, meaning in none of the holy books, Bible, Quran, Torah, whatever other books, nowhere in those books it says in order to be a good religious person, you have to torture, rape, kill, murder animals, kidnap their babies, and take what comes out of their bodies, chop them up and eat them. It doesn't say that. People refer to stories and things that happened 2,000 years ago. It's important to bring up the point that you live in a society where there's a supermarket on every corner. You drive a car, or you have money, you can get on a bus, you can go to the supermarket, you have money to pay for your food, so you don't need to be killing animals anymore because you're not in a survival situation. And it's very backwards to go back and refer to what happened back then and base your ethics on that, on something that happened 2,000 years ago. That's another point. And the third point would be, do you think God, as a loving, kind, peaceful God, would create individuals that have the capacity to feel pain, to be afraid, to be scared, to be anxious, so that we can kill them and eat them? If they were supposed to be our food, then why didn't God create creatures that are numb and they don't feel pain and they don't go through all of these emotions? So that's another point to make. The other point that you can make is, don't you think, since your religion doesn't actually mandate killing animals, don't you think your loving God would be way more impressed with you if you didn't cause unnecessary harm and suffering on others? So if you can survive without killing animals, why wouldn't you do that? Surely your God would be more impressed with you. So these would be some of the points that you can make in response to this question. Let me know if I missed anything. All right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to find the response that I kept missing. Yeah, I saw your response. So like I said earlier, we don't want to argue about religion. I'm going to make that point again in case some of you missed it. So I'm actually not going to read your response. I just quickly saw it, but it's not relevant to what we're talking about. When someone brings up religion or God, we don't actually want to argue with them. You need to forget about your personal beliefs on religion and God. So you need to acknowledge their beliefs. That doesn't mean you have to agree. You're only acknowledging it. So you need to acknowledge their beliefs or opinions in order to have a productive conversation. We're not here to argue about religion. Okay? We don't do outreach on the street because we want to get into arguments other than animal rights. So because of that, if someone says, my religion says it's okay, you don't need to try to convince them that religion is fucked and God isn't doesn't exist. Where's the proof? We don't need to do that. Even if that's your belief, that's fine. You're allowed to have your own belief on God, but you don't need to bring it to the cube. And so I'm actually gonna use this opportunity to ask all of you that when you show up at a cube, leave your religion, political views, etc. at home. Ideologies, all of that, leave it at home. Don't bring it to the cube. I have my own beliefs and ideas and things. I never bring it up when I'm doing outreach. So regardless of whether I'm religious or not, regardless of what religion I choose, I'm not going to discuss it with the person that brings up God. I will only acknowledge that point, and I will only use the points that we just covered together to respond to that question or that argument. So we're not here to argue with people about whether God exists or not. We're not trying to convince them that they shouldn't be religious. So, and that applies to everything else. So this is just an example, but if somebody brings up abortion, which is also a very common thing, when someone says, oh, so if you're vegan, you must be pro-life then. I don't want to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the animals. It doesn't matter. You can be vegan, you can be pro-choice, you can be pro-life. It doesn't matter. That's within your right to have a view on that, but you don't bring it to the cube. So same with your political views, which party you're supporting, which president, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're not here to have conversations about religion, politics, ideologies, etc. We are only here to talk about animals, and that's it. So this is something that we should be mindful of, because one thing non-vegans try to do is to distract the conversation. When someone feels uncomfortable and they don't want to talk about animal rights because they feel guilty, they're going to try to then put it back on you and point out the hypocrisy, and they're going to be like, well, what about abortion though? Do you believe that, you know, those have a life as well, that baby, they still have a life and they're conscious and blah blah blah. Well, maybe I do agree, maybe I don't. It doesn't matter. So you don't need to talk about it. Hello to you in California and New York. This isn't about us. This is about the animals, and always bring the conversation back to the animals. If they bring up something like abortion, bring it right back. Yes, what you can say when they bring up anything that is irrelevant, you can say, I don't want to discuss my personal views on this. I'm only here to talk about the animals. If you're down to talk about the animals, let's continue with this conversation. If not, have a good day. All right, let's move on to the next question, shall we? Someone said, should I go vegan? Fuck yeah, you should go vegan. You should go vegan right now. Okay, next question. How do you respond to someone that says, okay, I'm willing to go vegan with the exception of honey? What's wrong with eating honey? How do you respond to that? Yeah, that's right. Vegans are fainting left, right, and center. Like, I'm basically just a zombie. I'm not alive. So I'm just like, I'm waiting to faint right now. So the question is honey, basically. Non-vegans that say, okay, I'm willing to go vegan with the exception of honey. What's wrong with eating honey? Bees are not animals. Why do we have to protect bees? What's wrong with eating honey? Heather said, another form of stealing from another. Mia said, tell them about the honey industry, artificial insemination, etc. Honey belongs to bees. Queen bees are raped and de-winged. It takes one bee their whole life to make 1 teaspoon of honey. Their whole life, effort, stolen. Bees are exploited just like any other animal. They produce honey for their own. In the industry, they're forcibly raped and their wings are cut off so they can't fly away. Also, so that beekeepers know where the hive is, at all times they rip the queen bee's wings off so she can't find a new nest. You're basically destroying their houses to take that honey, and many bees are being killed in the process. Of course, insects are animals. They also have a nervous system, so... Honey is basically bee vomit. Plus, honey is meant for bees, not for us. Many are injured and killed when they steal their honey. They too are sentient beings that should be safe from harm. Honey is not vegan. Honey exploits bees. Honey is for the bees. Beekeepers cut off the wings of the queen bee so they stay in the hive. It's exploitation. Honey is made by bees for their young and themselves. Bees are sentient beings and they get mutilated by chopping their wings off and raping them, then stealing their honey and wax, and at the end they are burned to death. Let me charge my phone. Beekeepers often torch the hive at the end of the bee season and get new bees in the spring, yes. Honey is made by bees for bees. Honey is their energy source, and without it, they would starve. Why would you exploit insects for no reason if you don't have to? Seriously, humans are so fucked. No animal should be seen as a resource for humans. We are here to help people see animal exploitation. Bees put in an incredible amount of work to make their honey. What gives us the right to come and steal it from them? Okay, you're just distracting. I'm going to hide your comments. It's annoying. All right, any more responses for this question about honey? Olivia said, why would they torch a hive? That is cruel and expensive. They will only burn a hive if there is evidence of disease, which will cause death to local bee population. Well, no, actually, they do that. It's standard practice. Someone said, is there nothing on TV for the trolls? Go get Netflix. Seriously, like, I'm just amazed by the fact that there are people that they spend their whole day going on pages and live streams that they have no interest in, and they just drop like random words. Like, come on. And the funniest thing is when they comment on our posts and say, get a life. The irony. Basically, honey is the same as bee spit or vomit. Alright, now this is someone who does deserve to be banned. Cool. Alright. So Paula said, interesting fact, to get an idea of the amount of work they do, if bees made minimum wage, a jar of honey would cost $182,000 fucking dollars. I just added that. Paula didn't say that. I just added that for emphasis. That's crazy. All right. I think that's enough. Come on. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So the argument was, if someone says, what about honey? Honey doesn't really harm the bees. You just take the honey from them. You don't kill them. What's wrong with eating honey? Like many of you said, the practice is still very cruel, just like any other practice in these industries. Just like what happens to animals in the meat, dairy, and egg industries, or in the leather industry, and so on. Just because bees are tiny and they fly, that doesn't mean that they should be abused and exploited. So the most common practice is they cut off the wings of the queen bee. They cut off the wings so that she stays in the hive, so that she cannot leave, so that they can keep making honey and they can keep taking the honey, right? That's one thing. There is artificial insemination or rape as we know it, just like the dairy industry and the meat industry. There is artificial insemination in the honey industry. So they literally rape these tiny little creatures. How they do it is insane. There are videos that you can find online. You can actually see how it's done. You would not believe it, but that's what they do to these bees. Another thing that they do, they mark their wings with these markers. I can't remember exactly why they do it. Maybe you guys can help me if you know what I'm talking about. But they use these like markers like Sharpie or whatever to put a dot on them. And because it's so toxic, it actually affects their brain. They get super dizzy and they can't function as normal. So it's another form of torture for them. And when they are taking the honey, obviously they don't give a fuck about these creatures, so they're being super rough with them, and in that process a lot of these bees are injured and killed. And like many of you mentioned, they torch the hive at the end when they're done with it. And so it's not like these bees are free to just go and do whatever. No, they're just slaves, and their only purpose is to keep producing honey. And we all know that bees are really hard working creatures. We know that because we use them as an example when we want to make an example about someone who's hardworking. So they're just working hard 24/7, and then these humans are taking the honey. When they're done with them, they torch them and moving on to the next group of individuals. I had another point that I forgot. So, the other thing that some of you mentioned about honey being bee vomit. I just want to explain it so that non-vegans know what we're talking about. So bees actually have two stomachs. And there's one stomach, and its only purpose is to store the honey. They keep the honey in there, and then they vomit it. They bring it back up, and that's the honey that non-vegans eat. So that's what we're referring to when we say bee vomit, because it's sitting in their stomach, I'm not too sure for how long, and then they vomit it, and that's the final product that you eat as a non-vegan. Steven said, no wonder bees sting humans. Yeah, I'm not mad at them. Humans are the evil on this planet. Do we all agree? No other animal does what we do as a species. All we do is destroy. Billy said, I've started using vegan honey. It's delicious as an alternative to honey from bees. I've never tried vegan honey. I've seen it. I have to try it. I actually never liked the smell of honey before I went vegan. It's got like a really strong, weird smell, and I always hated it. It makes sense because it comes from their stomach. So another thing is, once you cover all of these points when you're outreaching someone, then you can say what Billy just said. So then you can say, did you know that there's vegan honey actually? Did you know that there is rice malt syrup, there is molasses, there is date syrup, there is maple syrup, there is agave. So then you can, just like we count all the options for milk, you can do that with with honey alternatives. But make sure that's the last point you make. So don't bring it up before you make your points on the ethics of what happens to bees. But it's good to mention those options because I would imagine that many people don't know about them. Thank you, Paula. And they vomited multiple times into each other's mouths. So it's repeatedly being vomited until it becomes the final product that you non-vegans consume. It is disgusting. It is disgusting, but come on. Come on, we're used to non-humans eating chicken ovulation too. And they literally eat animals' assholes as well in certain parts of the world. So they're all equally disgusting. Agave nectar tastes the same. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next question. Animals first and foremost. What's vegan honey made of? I'm not too sure. Does anyone know? Maybe some kind of sugar product. I don't know. Does anyone know that? The answer to that question. Humans are 100% the evilness on earth. Queen bees are usually killed by the bee farmer after 2 years when their egg-laying abilities start to decline and are then replaced with younger bees. Of course, because that's what we do to all animals. When the cows can no longer get pregnant, they get killed and replaced by their daughters. No worries, Laura. Take care. It's usually apple based. That's very interesting. So apparently vegan honey is made from apples, which is really cool. Okay, let's move on to the next question. That's a good one. How do you outreach someone, or what do you say to them when they say, I can't go vegan, I tried to go vegan, but I couldn't, I got really sick because I have certain allergies that keeps me from being vegan. Like I'm celiac, or I have gluten allergy, or I'm allergic to whatever they come up with. How do you respond to that? So how do you outreach someone that says, I'm allergic to gluten or something else, and that's why I can't be vegan. I tried it, I got really sick. Kaylin said, there's over 80,000 different edible plants on this planet. Are you allergic? Ooh, my live stream's being... Okay, hold on. Hold that thought. Someone said they should go to a vegan doctor that would understand their choice. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to go live again on my Instagram. Are we live? Yes, we are. Caitlin, if you're watching, can you please comment, post your comment again? Because I was just reading that and I lost it. That was a good comment. Just wait a couple of minutes. Yeah, Caitlin, if you're watching, just drop your comment again so I can read it. There are so many options, yes. Caitlin, do you mind just repeating your comment? Because I was reading it and then we got cut off. So I would like to, if you can, I would like to read that comment again. I love this one. If you truly want to stop supporting animal exploitation, then you will find a way. So there's over 80,000 edible plants on this planet. Are you allergic to every single one of those plants? If you are truly against animal cruelty, you'll always find a way. That's a beautiful response. So, yeah, that's the thing. People say I'm allergic to gluten. Okay, that's just one product. That's just one plant you're allergic to. You avoid pasta, bread, cakes, cookies, etc. that are made from gluten, made from wheat. You can get all of those products in a gluten-free version. Or if you're allergic to peanuts, then you can find many products that don't contain any peanuts, whatever it might be. There are tens of thousands of plants on this planet that we haven't even, none of us has even tried eating in our whole life. So we're only sticking to the ones that we know, which is very limited. But even within that, there's a huge variety of different plants that we can try. It's impossible for a human being to be allergic to everything other than animal flesh. Come on. We know that that's an excuse. Jeanette said there are no health issues caused by veganism, but there are many health issues caused by consuming animal body parts and secretions. Hospitals are not full with vegans, but with non-vegans. It's scientifically proven that veganism is suitable for all ages. People are lying to themselves if they say they tried veganism and failed. Of course. How about, I'll try to stop being a pedophile. I'll try to be a non-racist. How does that work? There's a way for everyone to go vegan. It has never been easier, especially nowadays where you can supplement almost anything. Zamira said, I'm allergic to nuts and I'm doing perfectly fine as a vegan. There you go. I'm sorry that you're allergic to all nuts though. That's not cool. Let's not forget it. Even if veganism were harmful, we would still have to go vegan. Is it fair to kill another creature to be healthy? Wake up, people. Of course. Andrew said, I'm allergic to kindness. Those people who tried being vegan were never vegan. Okay. There are other plant substitutes that can easily replace what you may be lacking in nutrients if you have allergies. Does not allergy include seeds? I'm not too sure. The fact of try is the problem. Yes. Yeah, so with this question, when someone says, I can't go vegan because I'm allergic to nuts, I'm allergic to gluten, whatever it might be, the first point is there are thousands and thousands and thousands of plants that you could eat. Your options are limitless, basically. So sure, maybe you have nut allergy, so you just don't eat nuts. You avoid products that contain nuts. How does that justify stabbing animals to death? You can even say, are you telling me that the only thing that you're not allergic to is animal flesh and what comes out of their bodies? You know, just to be clear, just so we're on the same page, you can ask that question. If they say, well, no, but my options are very limited, then I will have to always be hungry. Let's look at what you can eat. And also, first, let's decide whether animal cruelty is right or wrong. Which side do you stand on? Do you think that stabbing animals to death for a sandwich is okay? Or do you think it's evil? If it is evil, why don't you do something about it? Because once you decide that you want to be vegan and you don't want to pay for animal cruelty anymore, then you'll find a way. So you'll do it. And we know that's an excuse, but we just have to, again, we have to acknowledge their point and respond to it accordingly. So we do that while holding them accountable. So we're not going to just believe whatever they say because we know that's a bullshit lie. We know it's an excuse. So ask them the question, what is it? What group of plants are you allergic to exactly? And they tell you gluten. Okay, so you know that you can find gluten-free bread and pasta, etc., right? And then ask them, so you're not just okay with eating animal flesh and what comes out of animal bodies, right? That's not the only thing that you're not allergic to. No, I can eat other things, but I don't want to be hungry. I don't want to be starving. Well, you're not going to, because you will find a way. You can eat rice, potatoes, veggies, all of that, beans. If you're allergic to beans, then you have to find an alternative. But the point is that, like we said, there are tens of thousands of edible plants, and someone who is convinced that they don't want to be supporting animal cruelty, they will find a way. So you just have to make that point very clear to them. Okay, I have to respond to this. So I think this is it for this question, but I'll come back to see if there was anything I missed, but this is important. So someone commented and said, I've been vegan for much longer than most of you here, but I still wear leather and occasionally some other animal produced materials. I'm not going to read the rest of it because it's a long ass comment, but I just want to say that please ignore that comment. If somebody is vegan, because someone asked a question about leather products and what we do when we go vegan, ignore that comment because that person is obviously not someone who's vegan for the animals. If you believe that animal cruelty is wrong, why the fuck would you want to wear their skin and promote the idea that wearing animal skin is totally okay? I would understand if you went vegan and you literally cannot afford to replace your leather shoes or bags and you literally have one pair, so you have to wear them. I would say wear them for as long as you need to until you can afford to replace it with a non-vegan version of it. Sorry, with a vegan version of it. Other than that, if you can afford it, if you have other options, then you should burn it and you should get rid of it. So don't give it away, because by giving it to a friend or even donating it to a charity, you're promoting the idea that wearing someone's skin is okay. Give that animal the burial that they never had. Burn it, because if you bury a pair of leather shoes, it's bad for the environment, but you can burn it and then bury it. And that way you're actually giving that animal the ceremony, the burial that they never had. So do not take advice from someone that says, I've been vegan for longer than anyone else here, but I still support animal cruelty and I promote it as well. Brenda said, there is no try, there is only do. I love that. Thanks, Jeanette. All right, let's go back to the allergy question and then we'll wrap up the workshop and we'll open the Q&A portion. How does that sound? Zamira said, my nut allergy doesn't include seeds. I can eat all seeds, for someone that was wondering. So you could be allergic to only some seeds, some nuts, or you could be allergic to all nuts but not seeds, and maybe some people are allergic to both nuts and seeds. The person that made that comment is embarrassing, actually, because they're a top fan. You're a top fan of this page and you haven't been paying attention to what we talk about. You're still promoting animal skin. Mia said, I wish I hadn't donated my leather 3 years ago. It's too late now. Yeah, I should have buried it or thrown it away. Yeah, I mean, I've done it myself as well, but that's what I thought was the right thing at that time. When I went vegan, I even sold, when I first went vegan, I sold some of my handbags and shoes. But that's 7 years ago, where, like, at that time, I didn't know what I know now. So there is no point regretting it because you can't do anything about it. It's done. But now that you do know better, if I still was holding on to a leather wallet somewhere, then that's what I would have done with it. I wouldn't give it to my mom or a friend or even donate it, because then I'm saying, it's okay, I'm not going to wear someone's skin, but you can wear it. You are actually disrespecting the animal by continuing to wear their skin where they had to suffer for. Those animals do not get any respect while you're wearing their skin. Do you understand that? Someone had to die for that leather jacket or leather bag or leather shoes. Someone, a cow specifically. Wearing cow skin doesn't pay any respect to them. It's actually disgusting to promote wearing someone's skin and calling yourself vegan while you do that. The only exception, like I said, is that you're so broke that you can't financially afford to replace it. Otherwise, just like when your parents die, you bury them, you should do the same with an animal. You don't actually promote chopping up a piece of their finger and having it around the house to pay respect, do you? It is actually disrespectful to wear someone's skin. There was no respect given to that cow when they were being skinned. And by turning their skin into a product that looks nothing like an animal skin, you're disrespecting them. I don't know how you can convince yourself that this is the right thing to do and this is the respectful thing to do. You would not do that with a human. You would not do that with a child. Why are you doing it with the animals? Brenda said during the Jewish Holocaust, human skin was used to make things. Would these people still use these items today? I know. Even coming from someone that calls themselves vegan, there is still speciesism. There is still human supremacy seeping through their fucking words. Why? Why is it that the animals always get the worst treatment possible? I think vegans are a little harsh on each other. I think there are better ways to reach those that may not be in the know about the right thing to do. I think vegans just need to stop being little babies and just focus 100% on the animals. Because, I mean, not vegans necessarily, but animal rights activists, which I assume you guys are animal rights activists if you're here. If you're just a passive vegan, what are you doing on an activist page, right? But as an animal rights activist, just stop being a snowflake, stop being so sensitive, stop being little babies, and start focusing 100% on the animals. I'm not here doing this live stream for me. I'm doing it for the animals because we want to become better activists. We want to do better outreach. We want to be actually liberating animals. It's not about whether we are harsh on each other or we're nice to each other. If you're already convinced that you should be vegan, then be vegan. Don't pretend. Don't make excuses for animal cruelty. Just be vegan. Don't get upset if somebody points out the hypocrisy. They're not doing it to be superior. They're doing it because it's the right thing to do, because they are speaking up for the animals. Christina, I already covered that because someone brought it up. I recommend watching this live stream back when you have the time, because I did respond to the synthetic stuff. Paula, we ended the workshop. Now we're talking about someone that said I'm vegan but I still wear cow skin, and they're promoting it, so we're just responding to that. But I think that's it. We don't need to continue with this. All right. Um, let's do, okay, I was supposed to wrap this up in 5 minutes, but let's do another half an hour for Q&A. If anyone wants to stay, you have questions. But the workshop is, we'll just end the workshop here and we'll move on to the Q&A portion. So like I said, this was the last one of these interactive workshops. I really hope that you guys enjoy doing these as much as I did. And if you do want me to continue with these, just let me know. Maybe just let me know in the comments. And yeah, we might come up with an idea of doing it a little bit differently. But I will continue with the live streams once a week from now on. And yeah, it's just going to be Hangout Q&As, but we could continue with these workshops as well if you guys would like for me to continue. With the Q&A, we still cover all of these arguments, but I think the workshops are more enjoyable because it's interactive. Maybe for some of you they're not, because it takes longer to cover each point. So just let me know your thoughts on that, but this is supposed to be the last one of these workshops. So if you need to go and do something, if it's too late, you want to go to bed, feel free to do that. We'll continue for another half an hour or for as long as the questions are coming in, and I'll just start taking questions. So even for non-vegans who are watching this live stream, if you have questions about veganism, if there is something that you're not sure about, I'm happy to respond to those as well. Sai says, spot on, Sal, no pissing around. I think Milia, is that how you pronounce your name? Said, thank you, Sal, for replying. That comment is clearly not right, stupid, and would never take that as an example. I still have a very expensive leather jacket from years ago and will burn it. I think that's a great choice. Wow, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Malia. I appreciate that comment. Yes, that would be the best option. I had leather stuff when I first went vegan. I had expensive handbags, designer shoes, all of that. And like I said, I actually sold some of them. And then whatever I didn't sell, I donated. And yeah, I wish somebody told me to do the same thing, because the money that I got from selling those things is dirty as fuck. So yeah, I'm just glad to see that comment, and I'm glad that you're being rational and logical about it. Christina, you should burn it as well. You should burn that wool hat if you can't return it. I mean, if I made that mistake, like you said, Christina, so if I went and bought a hat, like let's say I bought this and then I didn't check the label. I don't want to make you feel bad, but it's your responsibility. It's my responsibility and yours and everyone else's to check the label. If the label is vague, ask. You know how many times I wanted to buy something, and like I do a lot of shopping online, especially during this time. So I would go and read all the description, and then sometimes if it's not 100% clear to me, I would email them to clarify things. So I do the best that I can to avoid this. But let's say for whatever reason I bought this and then I brought it home and then I realized it has wool, I wouldn't just wear it, I would just immediately send it back. But I don't know what the situation is and you can't do that right now. Then I just cannot sit here while wearing a hat made of wool that came from an animal, or wearing a belt that came from a cow. Yeah, I just cannot morally justify that as someone who's against animal cruelty, and I'm sure you feel that way. That's why you're asking. So regardless of how much money you spend on it, if it was expensive, just burn it. Mia said, I would love it if you continue with the workshop. I've been learning a lot. Okay. Maybe what I can do is do them once a week, and then do once a week we do a workshop, once a week we do a Q&A. So every 2 weeks, every fortnight. That's one way of doing it. Thank you, Brenda, for staying up. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jeanette. Wow. So this person said, I'm less than 1 year off of being vegan for 50 years, and I would use human leather if it was available. And if it were to save it, was it being wasted? I didn't get that. Wow. I have no qualms about death or dying, but I do have worries about the wastage of the lives being taken. The world should be improved and we should be good stewards towards our planet. Well, you're not doing that, okay? Alfred, I don't care how long you've been vegan for, you clearly are confused about the definition of veganism. Veganism doesn't say do not kill animals. It also says do not rape, torture, and abuse them. And that's exactly what happens when you wear someone's skin. They have to be tortured. And guess what? They actually do kill them for leather. So there are things involved that you're saying you're against. These animals are being killed. They are being murdered for their skin. I just do not understand, like, what cave do you live in? You clearly have no clue what veganism means. I don't give a fuck that you've been vegan for 50 years. You're promoting the idea that killing animals is bad, at the same time wearing their skin is okay. And you're saying even if it was human skin, you would still wear it because you want to protect the planet. What kind of fucking bullshit is that to justify your disgusting behavior? Not only that, you're not just keeping it to yourself, you're actually proudly promoting it to the other people on this platform. Some vegans who think it's okay to call it prig-in leather. Oh, that's disgusting. I also don't like pleather. People call it pleather. Wait, yeah, pleather, because it's P-U. Oh, I don't like that. Leather is one of those words, again, like bacon. They decided to call animal skin leather. They don't own that fucking word. Just call it for what it is. Call it animal skin, cow skin. We can call it leather if it's vegan. They don't own the word. You're welcome, Christina. This has happened so many times to me where I like a jacket or like a cardigan or something, and then the last thing is wool, 5% or 3%. And I'm like, fucking idiots, why? If my parents are murdered, I don't make them into a pair of shoes to stop them from being wasted. I know, right? I don't know how you pay respect to someone by wearing their skin. And you also claim that you're protecting the planet. Sounds very disturbing, wearing human or animal skin because she doesn't want to waste it. What the fuck? I know. Well, I mean, that's why I said, and you guys, some of you got upset with me when I said that, but if you are vegan, that's why I'm questioning this person when it comes to veganism. When you are vegan, you don't say, it's okay, this cake was already made. It's got milk and eggs in it, but it's already made. It's going to go to waste if I don't eat it. So I'm going to have a slice. All right, I'm ready to move on, guys. We can't spend any more time on this. So if you have any questions about anything, just let me know. When I say anything, I mean AV, activism, veganism, things like that. I'm just shocked. When you think that you've seen it all, and then, surprise, coming from someone who is apparently vegan for 50 years. Some of us weren't even born back then. Okay, yeah, felt is, yeah, you have to look it up. It's okay, Christina, we're all humans, and we just learn from our mistakes. You do the best that you can with that mistake. I don't necessarily want you to feel bad. I mean, how many times have we, tell me if this has happened to you, but it's happened to me so many times where I order food and I specifically say vegan, no egg, blah, 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 and it comes with dairy, cheese on it, for example. I still feel responsible because I made that choice to go in and place that order. But then I'm not going to beat myself up for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to stop ordering food, for example. So we just learn. No reason to feel guilty about it. Christina said we should have a burning ceremony to pay respects. A while ago, some of you may remember, we were doing one of these live streams, and there was a guy that asked the same question. And first he was arguing with me that it's wasteful to do that or whatever. Then he was convinced. The next day after the workshop, he sent me a message on Instagram. He also sent me a photo of all these items. So he had like a pair of boots, there was a bag, a belt, like different multiple items that were made of cow skin. And what he did, he said he cut a tiny piece of the item and he burned the rest, and he buried that little piece with the ashes. And he was really grateful for that live stream and for that advice to ban those items. So I've had so many people that have done that, have done that now, and I'm glad that people have an open mind and they can see that there is no way you respect someone by continuing to wear their skin. No worries, Aideen. Good night. Thanks for staying up. All right, let's take some questions. So if you can keep your questions concise, I would really appreciate it. Yeah, that's why I say burn it, because leather is not biodegradable, meaning if you just bury it like that, it stays forever. It just stays in nature forever. It's not biodegradable. So the best thing to do is to burn it. Good night, Milia. Thanks for staying up. Okay. What do you say to someone who says, I can't be vegan right now because I have an eating disorder? Eating disorder. Ask them what that means. Ask them how an eating disorder works in a way that it allows that person, that individual, to only consume animal products. There is literally no health condition that keeps you from being vegan. I'm going to repeat that. There is literally no health condition that keeps you from being vegan. Being vegan means avoiding animal products. You can do it different ways. You can have junk food all day and it's vegan. You can eat a whole foods diet. You can eat, which is the healthiest diet on the planet, by the way. WHO even said that. You can be raw. You can do many things, but the point is veganism is just one thing. And then when it comes to the diet aspect of it, there are many ways you can do it. So if you have an eating disorder, if you have diabetes, if you have autoimmune disease, if you have whatever chronic disease or whatever condition you have, you can still be vegan. You just have to figure out how to do it so that it's helping your condition. Many chronic diseases can actually be reversed by eating a whole foods plant-based diet. So an eating disorder, which to my knowledge is more of a mental issue, then surely can be addressed doing the right kind of therapy or treatment. That doesn't mean that you are forced to eat animal products. So just point that out. Ask them specifically what they mean by that. All right, next question. Okay, so we've got someone here. I used to have an eating disorder too. Going vegan helped me recover. You can eat vegan alternatives to animal products to challenge your disordered habits. You're welcome, Caitlin. All right, next question. This question comes up every time. Do you take any extra supplements in your diet? By going vegan, don't just assume that you have to automatically take supplements like B12, like iron, like calcium, etc. Always check your bloods before you start taking any supplement. So when you first go vegan, I recommend after maybe 6 months, check your bloods. I mean, I'm not a doctor or a dietitian or anything, but just as an individual, I recommend that you check your blood at least once a year. Okay, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I do that twice a year myself. So check your blood. Make sure that you need to take B12. A lot of people assume that they need to take it, but they actually don't. Many vegans that I know, including myself, our B12 level is actually way above the normal range. I think the normal range is 150 to 700 and mine is usually in the thousands. So with certain things like B12, there's no harm in being above that normal range, but certain things like vitamin D and iron can be harmful if you go above the normal range. So make sure you need to take the supplement. Don't just take it because you have heard that vegans need to take supplements. Many vegans don't take any supplements. With B12, you can store B12 in your body up to 7 years. So you may be one of those lucky people that will last that long. You may not need to take it. And also, so I say B12 because that's the most common thing that you take as a supplement. The other thing could be vitamin D. B12 is something that many non-vegans also take. B12 is injected to animals that are killed in the meat industry. So non-vegans are supplementing B12 through animal flesh. You can just go to the pharmacy and get your supplements yourself directly if you need it. Another thing is vitamin D. A lot of people that especially live in areas like Australia, UK, places that are quite, we don't get a lot of sun. The general public is low in vitamin D, so you might need to take some vitamin D. and other supplements. Like I said, check your bloods first. But the point is, if you do decide that you want to take supplements or you need it, make sure you look for a vegan option first, something that doesn't contain animal ingredients and also is not tested on animals. If you absolutely cannot find that, then if you have to take the supplement, you can justify taking the non-vegan version. There are many food items that are also high in whatever supplement you need, so that's another way of getting those nutrients or minerals or whatever it might be. So do a bit of research before you go and start taking supplements. That would be my advice. I'm not going to go back and forth with you, Alfred. You are promoting animal abuse when you do wear animal skin and you say it's okay to wear it. The animal did suffer for that. Sure, the animal is killed, but just because the animal was already raped and killed, I'm not going to justify eating a piece of cake that was made from their milk. It's exactly the same thing. All of these animals are already dead. Their life is already wasted. You don't pay any fucking respect by continuing to use their body or what comes out of their body. So you are, in fact, promoting animal abuse. Which foods can improve skin? I think if you drink a lot of water, just avoid oil, avoid any processed food, avoid processed sugar, drink a lot of fresh juice, eat a lot of fruit, like lots of berries, lots of greens. I think that would be really good for your skin. No, you can take B12 that is vegan actually. Okay, that's a very interesting question. Don't cows need to be milked though? So this is coming from a non-vegan. What happens in the dairy industry is that the animals, the cows are raped, and I explain what that means. They masturbate the bull to take the semen. They shove it into the female cow's vagina. That is called rape. They call it artificial insemination, which is a medical term. It is rape. And then once the cow is pregnant, they take the babies after they give birth. They take the babies away from the mom because they don't want the babies to drink their mummy's milk, because they want that cow to produce milk for human consumption. They take the baby away. If the baby was a boy, immediately sent to the slaughterhouse to be killed for their flesh. If the baby was a girl, they would have the same life as their mom. And they continue with the process until the cow is roughly about 4 years old, where they can no longer get pregnant, because getting pregnant back to back every year and being hooked to a machine to suck the fucking milk out of their breast it's just too hard on them for them to survive beyond 3, 4, 5 years. So their bodies will just stop working and functioning like normal. And when that happens, they get killed for their flesh as well. So this is the dairy industry for you. And even in the free range farms, the cows are still being raped and we are still taking the milk from them. So the point is, no, cows do not need to be milked, because cows only produce milk when they are pregnant, when they have babies, just like humans. They work exactly like humans work. in terms of having babies, pregnancy, and having milk. They will only lactate when they have just given birth. So if we stop raping them, they won't have as much milk. And if they do get pregnant naturally, the milk is supposed to feed the baby. So if we were to just leave them alone, everything will be fine. They're going to survive without us, trust me. They're going to be just fine. I got an app to see if household products were cruelty-free, but it said my vegan shampoo was not cruelty-free. Can non-vegan brands have cruelty-free products? It shouldn't. It shouldn't be a thing, because cruelty-free means not tested on animals. That's literally what it means. Vegan means no animal products plus not tested on animals. Otherwise, they would call it plant-based or chemical-based. When they call something vegan, unless that company is confused, like the person in our comment section is confused about the definition of veganism, which I think happens sometimes. They just think it's trendy to put vegan on the product. But technically, if something says vegan, it means no animal products, not tested on animals. So it's kind of like, it's dodgy that they've done that. They've just put a vegan label on it, but they still test on animals. Or yeah. So the cruelty-free thing, which is like a bunny logo, that just means that this product was not tested on animals, but it could still have animal ingredients in there. There is a really good app called Fussy Vegan, by the way. If anyone wants to download an app, you can literally scan anything and it will tell you if it's vegan or not. Sometimes it doesn't work, like maybe 10-15% of the time doesn't work. Maybe some products are not registered, but if you're looking for an app to help you with, like, to make your shopping quicker, sometimes if I have time, I just walk through the supermarket and I'm just scanning everything, and it just tells you if it's vegan or not, and it explains if it's not vegan and explains why. It's called Fussy Vegan, and I think it's about $10. You just pay for it one-off and you use it forever. So I highly recommend that if you're looking for an app. They also have different apps, like for traveling, for vegan restaurants. Pretty cool. Okay, next question. Ah yeah, the Fussy Vegan. Pretty sure that's an international app. I don't think it's exclusive to Australia, is it? If it is, yeah, I guess it's only available in Australia. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so if you're going to download that, maybe just make sure you can use it, because I could be wrong in thinking that it's international. Maybe it's exclusive to Australia. I don't want to promote something and then you guys are going to pay for it for $10 and you can't even use it. Next question, is being vegan expensive? Okay, Georgie, I think that's your name. So I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you think, if you're still watching, and I'll wait a few seconds, what do you think vegan food is? Like, what kind of food are vegan, do you think? Good night, Kathleen. Thank you for joining me. There is no difference between drinking cow's milk, eating a cake that had eggs in it, or wearing someone's skin. There's literally no difference. in all of those scenarios, the animal was tortured, raped, and killed for that final product for you to consume. In this case, you're going to wear it over and over again. If it was a piece of cake, you would just eat it once, but it's morally, it's the same thing. Cats can be vegan. They should be vegan. Otherwise, you're killing thousands of animals to feed just one animal at home. Do your research. Make sure they get all the nutrients that they need. But yes, they can be vegan. So the person that asked about vegan food being expensive, I'm just wanting to see if they're here yet or still. Okay, I'm just going to answer it. So is being vegan expensive? Vegan means avoiding animal products. So anything that comes from an animal, you avoid it. You know how many options we have? We literally have tens of thousands of plants that we can eat. We can turn into other food. And actually, the plant options that are, so a whole foods diet, which includes the complete form of plants like potatoes, beans, fruits, vegetables, anything that hasn't been processed, that's whole foods. So that is actually the cheapest diet on the planet. So when you're eating a diet that is made of potatoes, rice, beans, you make different curries from just vegetables, you eat fruit, you make yourself a smoothie, all of this stuff that are in complete form are the cheapest food on the planet. If you were to go and buy processed vegan items like a processed meat alternative like vegan ham, vegan bacon, vegan chicken, vegan ice cream, vegan chocolate burger, whatever it might be that is processed, it will be more expensive than eating just rice and beans, obviously. But when you look at the prices, they are actually on par with the non-vegan version. Paul and I were actually doing some shopping yesterday. We were in a supermarket and we're walking past the milk aisle, and we actually stopped and we looked at the cheapest cow's milk they had in that particular supermarket was $1.25. The cheapest soy milk that they had in that supermarket was $1.10 or 15 cents. So even that was cheaper than the cow's milk. So the soy milk was actually cheaper than the cow's milk. We just wanted to do a little bit of an experiment. That's why we paid attention. So not only it's cheaper, not only it's not more expensive, it's actually cheaper. And sometimes you may find an item that is expensive compared to what you're used to. For example, you might find a vegan cheese, like it's a specific, like blue cheese, but it's vegan. Or I don't know, some ice cream that is very high end and it might cost you $20. Sure, you can find a non-vegan version that costs about the same. So it depends on what you're looking at. If you want to eat a cheap burger from McDonald's for, I don't know, $2 or $5, you can find a vegan version of it for the same price. If you go to a nice burger place and pay $20 for a burger, for a vegan burger, it will be the same to get a non-vegan burger made of cow flesh at a non-vegan restaurant. So you have to compare it with the same thing. You have to compare that vegan product to the same, to the equal of that vegan product. You can't just compare vegan ice cream, like Ben & Jerry's vegan ice cream, to, I don't know, like McDonald's $1 cone. You know what I mean? So you have to just be fair and make the right kind of comparison. But the point is, if you eat whole foods, which is the healthiest food on the planet, is actually the cheapest. So no, veganism is not expensive. I'm very hungry too, Mia. I haven't had breakfast yet. I don't know what I'm gonna have, but I'm very hungry. Why is taurine so fundamental to a cat's diet? I'm not too sure why, but it is, and that's why if you do have cats at home, you need to make sure that they do get that. And the point with cats is that they don't need specific ingredients, they need specific nutrients. So the nutrient you can find from a plant-based source or a chemical source. You don't have to give them flesh from another animal. But I'm not sure what exactly taurine does for cats, to be honest. Okay, sorry. So the app that I recommended, Fussy Vegan, is only for Australia and New Zealand. Sorry guys, you're gonna miss out. It's a really cool app. Well, here it's 10 a.m. and I started this live stream at 8. I got up at 7, so I didn't end up having breakfast. So I'm gonna take one more question from each platform and then we're gonna wrap this up. I mean, that's if you guys have any questions. All right. Do you have friends that are non-vegans? Yes. I do have a few friends that are not vegan yet. Also, my family is not vegan yet. At some point, I had to make a decision whether I want to cut them off completely or I want to still have a relationship with them. But I had to set certain boundaries. So I decided to still have some of those people in my life, including my family. But there are very clear boundaries in place. One of them is that no animal products is allowed in my house, obviously. And the other thing is every time we catch up and we hang out, regardless of where we're going to eat, everyone is going to eat vegan. So if we go out, or they're going to cook, whatever it is, all the snacks on the table, everything is going to be vegan. And those are my terms. They can take it or leave it. And I would have the same approach if I was a human rights activist and if I was speaking up against rape, for example. If I found out that my friends were watching a rape video, I would not tolerate it either. So these are my values and I'm going to stand behind them and defend them. And I do recommend that if you do have non-vegan friends and family, you do place some boundaries, and that way they actually will take you more seriously, because otherwise you're saying, yeah, I'm vegan and I'm against animal cruelty, but you can do it in front of me and I'm not going to say anything about it. I haven't taken the liberation pledge, like with the bracelet and everything. I guess when I went vegan, at least I didn't know about the liberation pledge if it existed, but I just did it. I didn't call it anything. I just said, okay, so if you guys want to hang out with me, these are the rules, and I've been doing it for the last 7 years. All right, next question. There must be a better app in US. Come on. Like in Australia we always get everything late and come on. Surely you guys in US are going to have a better app. Thank you. It's very bright pink. All right, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap this up. Happy Cow is another app if you want to find vegan restaurants and stuff. Especially good for traveling. We always use Happy Cow when we go traveling. I just want to make one point and then we can wrap this up. When you talk to a vegan and they say, I've been vegan since, oh, no. When you talk to a vegan and they say, I went vegetarian when I was 10 and then I went vegan when I was 15. You know that they still don't have the right mindset. You know that there is still some speciesism that exists in them. Because if you were convinced that veganism is the right thing to do, why are you still bringing up the fact that you were a vegetarian for 5 or 10 fucking years? Who gives a fuck? As a vegetarian, you didn't do anything for the animals. Why are you still bringing it up like something that you're proud of? This happens all the time. People leave a comment or message, or they bring it up in a conversation. They say, oh yeah, I've been vegan for 20 years and before that I was vegetarian for 10 years. I don't care. The animals don't care. You were still supporting animal cruelty. Who cares that you were a vegetarian for whatever 10 years? It only counts since you went vegan. Why are you bringing it up? When someone brings it up as a vegan, you know that there's still some work there. They're still not completely free of human supremacy because they believe that by being a vegetarian, they were still doing some good. Otherwise, why the fuck would you bring it up? Can somebody help me understand that? You're welcome, Vicky. I'm glad that was helpful. Oh. Alright, we should wrap this up because my live stream just stopped again on my phone. I don't know why Instagram allows me to go live on the AV page for longer, but on my personal page it gets cut off. Maybe it has to do with the number of followers. Alright, I'm gonna go live again just to say goodbye. Let me know if you have any other questions and I'll quickly answer them. And then we'll wrap this up. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Heather, someone who claims that they've been vegan for 50 years are not a new vegan. I'm a new vegan compared to that person. I know what you're talking about. Jeanette said, being a vegetarian is nothing to be proud of. Sorry, we just got cut off again, so we're going to wrap this up. I'll quickly have a look to see if there are any questions I can answer, and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't count. How long you were a vegetarian for does not count. What should we do about non-vegan housemates? Kick them out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It depends what you mean. Do you want to outreach them? Are you asking how you approach them? Are you asking about setting boundaries? I'm not sure what you mean, Christina. I would just try to outreach them, and maybe you can suggest that you watch a documentary together. And then if you're referring to boundaries, then you can set some boundaries that are practical. A person is not vegan if he or she promotes violence. Exactly, Matt. Thanks, Laura. Summer said, found a dress in my closet that comes with a leather belt. Can't talk. Leather belt. Should I keep the dress and throw away the belt? Yes, you should. Don't throw it away, because it's not biodegradable. It will just stay in nature forever. Burn it. Burn the belt, keep the dress. Thank you, Mia. Caitlin said, you're right about vegans saying they were once vegetarian. I've been saying I was once vegetarian at this time. But I will no longer say that, because just like you said, oh my God, that makes me so happy that you're so open-minded and rational, Caitlin. I love that. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Nothing to be proud of. You're either vegan or you're not. Exactly. All right, let's wrap this up. Otherwise, we can go forever. Not that I wouldn't like that, but I know some of you want to go to bed, and you're not going to go to bed if we're live. So I'm just going to wrap this up. Keep an eye out for the next live stream. And I guess because a lot of you said you want to continue with the workshops, what I might do is 1 week we have a Q&A, the next week we have a workshop. So we do the workshops every 2 weeks. And that way we're still doing them, but not as often. Thank you, Brenda, for joining me. Thanks everyone who joined this live stream. If you joined later in the live stream, I recommend you go and watch it back. We covered quite a lot, especially if you're looking for tips on doing outreach and how to respond to certain arguments. We did cover a few, good arguments that keep coming up all the time. So I'm sure you're going to find that useful. And that's it. Stay safe. Do some activism every day. Even if you're still in lockdown like me, just do some online activism as much as you can. And much love. Thanks, everyone. Take care, Jeanette. Thank you for joining me. Take care, everyone.